Why, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Voice of the Rings. I am your host and guide, Zollin Ironshield, and this is a RiseToWar guide. And today I want to talk to you about Thorin Oakenshield, King Under the Mountain. We're going to walk you through his skills right now, and I'm going to show you some good builds and stuff in a very fast version, okay? So first things first is when you go through his skills, you'll find immediately whether you respect, 1 or 3 from the middle or 5 or farther, he is very oriented in leading his troops, especially dwarves. So his level 1 tree is actually good for anybody. So he's got Revitalize, which does some decent damage, and one of your allies recovers HP. If you have it at 15, 2 of your group units recover HP. Awesome. You also have Frightened. Against 2 enemy targets, 50% chance to inflict stun. This is amazing for taking tiles. He's a very good tile taker. Hold that thought for a second. Inspiration, this is also a good one. All allies damage affected by focus, they take deal more damage, excuse me. So this also buffs his troops for the first 3 rounds. He's very good early in the rounds. Then he's got Oakenshield. He deals damage. Allies gets sackable defenses. It's really cool, and he gets 15 extra might if it's maxed out. He also then gets Topple. This is great. Stick 1 point in Topple early if you're trying to take tiles early in the game with him. And then if you have Frightened Max, you have so many stuns. Some damage and stuns. It's fantastic if you can keep those on there. And then you also have Deliberate Strike, which is just some flat-out damage. Thorin can pump out damage. Even though I said he's more for leading his troops, he can pump out a lot of damage between Oakenshield, this one, and Revitalize, and Topple. They all do physical damage. So he can put out a lot of damage himself and do really good at level 1 Respect. Level 3 Respect, you get King Under the Mountain, which again, you deal some damage. Again, he does damage. And then he also increases all Dwarven allies, any dwarf unit. Defenses by 1 point. It can stack. That stacks with Oakenshield defense increase, and it also at max it gives 2 HP to all your dwarves, which is really strong. Okay, so that's really good. He then has Long Period, which is just his physical damage ignores the target. So again, you could in theory build Thorin as a damage dealer himself and kind of forget the troops, but he's gonna naturally kind of buff his troops anyway. Even if you have King of the Mountain Oakenshield, that's going to be buffing their defenses while he's doing damage. Okay, so you could do this where he ignores stuff, damage, and then he also has Dwarven Grit, which is also a good one. Dane also has that. The first 4 instances of skill damage in each battle is increased. So if you really want him to just burst people early, Oakenshield, Revitalize, King Under the Mountain will all proc this, and he'll do a bunch of damage early himself. Then you have a Respect 5, then he really becomes a good leader character. Kings of Durin's Folk, he takes reduced physical damage for all his dwarves, up to I believe 15% is the max thing. And then you also at max he gets +2 attack for his dwarves. So now we're looking at +2 HP with this one maxed and +2 attack with that one maxed. Okay, pretty good for leading his troops. He's also got Well Prepared. His melee units do a counterattack that deal damage back when they get hit. That's pretty cool. All right. I don't really always use this one as much. I kind of leave this one for special build. I don't use it very often, though it can be very good in some builds. And Parry, his damage from melee units is less. He takes less damage, his army. Cool. Awesome. So that's his setup. I recommend that pretty much doing a build either between buffing your men and making him do all the damage mainly, or going for a lot of the defensive King Under the Mountain, Durin's Folk, Oakenshield, Revitalize, and then throw in some extra of these damage ones, and maybe like Well Prepared if you wanted to focus more on the units and not him. But he does some pretty good damage himself. So he's a very balanced commander in doing damage and stuff with his things. His unique item is pretty cool. I don't have it. I could technically get it if I got enough of this, but I don't have enough of the gold stuff. He gets more might, and his dwarf units get 2 attack. This goes up if you upgrade it, so it's pretty strong actually for dwarves. Also, Thorin's deals 50% more damage to orcs and Uruk-hai units. Allied damage received less when the enemy army has orcs, so they get tankier your dwarves. Pretty nice sword there, Orcrist, indeed. Now let's talk about his items. He is more of a, you can do focus, again like Inspiration gets focus stacking, but pretty much nothing really scales off anything directly with this character, so I would recommend speed and damage, might, which he is very good at that. So his speed is actually very, very high. He has 194 speed right now, And then his focus being up decent is good because it helps your army, and that helps on one ability if you use it. But might, he does a lot of damage and also makes your army do more damage. So he's a might and speed commander. Speed just to make sure he can attack first kind of thing. He's really good with things like this, flat might, and his allied melee units do more damage. You could also use something like this, the Axe of Cause of Doom, if you have a gold item. But a purple item like this, or even going like this, Warhammer, would also be wonderfully good on him, okay? I'm going for the most might I can do, okay? So I'm going for this one. But allied damage, they do more damage too. That's just for dwarves, that's fine. Again, I gave him an axe because sometimes I have other units in his group besides dwarves, since if I use his tier 1. Right now I have Scout's Mail on him. Again, it's a good one because it gives him a bunch of speed and might, right? And he does a lot of damage in those first 3 rounds, all right? 3 allied units, 6% chance to evade the first instance of damage. Now remember, he has the stuns. That's the first instance of damage. So that means you stun the enemies early on, and then they finally get a hit on your troops, and there's a chance they dodge it, right? So by the 4th round, you could have already killed half of them and taken no damage. So it's a good one. Also, things like this, Durin's Plate. I have it on my Dane, but it could be wonderful on him if you have high-level items like that. Again, you don't have to have that. Superior, however, could be good. It's might, army defense, and it gives you burn resistance if you're trying to fight like Witch Kings or anyone with fire damage. All right? And then even Scale Mail could be good, okay? Because you get might, focus, melee defense, and just some flat might or whatever you want to get on the other bonus one. I recommend the ones with speed because early on is good. Quilted one, it gives you speed, focus, and might, and focus, if that's something you want to counter focus damage on your troops, that could be fine too. But I would recommend Scout's Mail, might, and speed is really nice. This Halberd, Burke for fire defense, and then maybe just a Scale Mail. That's what I would recommend. Or if you have a higher level item, you know, like Durin's Plate. All right. So right now, what I'm using this helmet because again, the horse helmet uses might and speed, and I know it's mounted defense, but technically that does work for dwarf mounted rams. All right, so still works. And then the first 3 rounds you gain madness immunity. This is to counter like certain people that do madness, Grima and stuff on units, and the Sauron and a couple other things. He also gets speed and might again with this one. Okay, but you could also do another thing. You could use something like this, right? Might and melee defense, or you know, go for an iron bassinet. But I have this will make your dwarves immune to stun, but you can get a different ability on it, of course. But might and defense, that's a good one too, but that's on my Gimli. For my last one, I've been using Drums of Moria. Again, it gives a little focus for the one thing. My unit's attack, melee attack, is up +3. That's just a bunch of extra damage. Cool for my melee ones. Speed is great on it, and then might. And then unit speed melee increased because dwarves are slow. So that's a good one. I like that one. Also things that are really probably good are, you know, you could do this one. Carved Dragon Tooth if you have it. Erebor's Pride would be really good. Any of the dwarf ones. Box of Knowledge Warrior. He's a leader, so that really wouldn't help this. But if you find one that's a leader one, you can use that. You can kind of mix and choose. If you want to use a purple one besides the Warhammer, Heathline is good. It gives your army HP, helps them out a little more. Now you'd have +3 plus the 2 from the ability, right? That kind of stuff. So that's really up to you what you want to do there with the rest of it, but that pretty much covers it. We're pretty much done. We did that in under 9 minutes. So that is the Thorin. Okay, he's really good. He's a good commander. I would say he is up there. I would say Thorin is up there at like A+ or S tier. If S+ was the highest, I would say he's up there. He's a really good commander. So anyway, have a great, wonderful day in Middle-earth. Thank you to my patrons, and I'll see you all in the next episodes of Voice of the Rings. Baruch Hazad, Kuzad I Menu. See ya.